Is it illegal to hit a child that is not yours that is biting you? So this happened a days ago, and we are still freaking out about it. My wife and I was on a small trip out of state when we stopped at a rest area. Everything was fine. I went to restroom to hear my wife screaming. I ran out to see a 3 to 4-year-old biting down on my wife's leg so hard blood was seen. Just enough to break skin and bleeding maybe a teaspoon. She was trying to pull him off but was screaming as he was clamped down like a dog, so in my panic I slapped him hard. He let go with a scream and looked at me very dazed and ran off to the woman bathroom where we could hear a woman yelling, "Who hit you?" I will say we both freaked out and ran to car and drove away as fast as we could. I took her to be treated and they said she will be okay. I know we probably should have not ran from sense, but we have seen too many videos of people going crazy and just killing someone over a hurt child. Should we talk to police to cover ourselves? My wife said he mostly was just walking around outside bathrooms and just walked over and bit down on her leg for no reason when she was on her phone. You're fine. Do not go to the police. You should keep pics, med records in the extremely unlikely event that this comes up in the future. The slap is very likely reasonable, especially as it was preceded by other failed efforts. Should we talk to police to cover ourselves? No, that is the dead opposite of what you should do. And if the police want to talk to you, do not talk to them, you'll just be confessing to things. You're probably fine, just take pictures of her wound and move on with your lives. And do not speak to the police if they contact you. Yes, if someone is drawing blood you can use reasonable force to defend yourself. A single isolated slap is reasonable, shooting him would not be. You really should have waited and filled out a police report. Regardless, you need to go get her the hospital. Human bites are major vectors for infection. I did and they took it very seriously. Gave her a ton of shots, and told us what to look for. You are allowed to protect yourself and others from bodily harm. Biting someone to the point of drawing blood and not letting go is bodily harm. Regardless of the age of the biter, I doubt you did anything wrong. It's not like you continued to hit the child after he stopped chewing on your wife. She was injured, you got her treatment. Take some pictures of her wound. Keep the documentation of her being seen, just on the off chance that anyone reported this to the police. If some parent wants to attempt to track you down, after they failed to supervise their child and allowed him to chew on another person's leg, and wants to press charges for you slapping the kid to get him to let go, inform them you are suing them for your wife's medical bills, and future therapy bills for her PTSD from being attacked by a cannibal child. The bills I know will be bad. We have insurance, but had to go to urgent care. They documented it as a bite and took pics for report, so we have all that from medical staff. Take your own photos of the wounds as well just in case the hospital somehow loses them or doesn't allow you access to them in a reasonable amount of time. Yes, you can use non-lethal harm, i.e. your slap, in self-defense that is reasonable and proportionate when there is an imminent risk of harm and unlawful conduct. Here the child committed a battery against your wife, though given his age he would not be prosecuted, and slapping the child was both reasonable and proportionate to the harm your wife was suffering, being painfully bit on to the point she was bleeding. Also note that it is irrelevant that you, as opposed to your wife, slapped the child. Any person may use force on behalf of another person as long as that person themselves would be entitled to use the same amount of force in self-defense. Because your wife would have been justified in slapping the child in self-defense, so were you. So as a legal matter, based on these facts, you should have nothing to worry about. As a practical matter, as others are saying, I would not proactively reach out to the police. In the unlikely event police do question you, remain silent and invoke your right to counsel. And remember, to invoke your Miranda rights, you must do so affirmatively. Saying and quat, maybe I should keep silent and quat, or and quat, getting a lawyer might be a good idea and quat, are not sufficient to invoke your rights. You must say and quat, I am invoking my right to remain silent and quat, or and quat, I want a lawyer, and quat. Also, invoking your right to remain silent won't invoke your right to counsel. You must say and quat, I want a lawyer, and quat. Don't mean to scare you with the last paragraph, since A, it is highly unlikely based on these facts that the mother would go to the effort to try to identify you, and B, it is highly unlikely any prosecutor would want to prosecute you since the only way the mother would be able to identify you would be to watch a security camera footage, and no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute you after reviewing the footage. But the above advice is sound legal advice no matter the circumstances should you end up in police custody.